My mother-in-law thought I was sabotaging my relationship with my fiancé, but I was only sabotaging my relationship with her son. A long-time reader, first time asking for advice. Let's get to the point. I've been with my fiancé Adam for 5 years, that's not his real name, and we've been engaged for 7 months. We have a beautiful house together, and we both work really hard on our relationship. The problem is not Adam. He does his best to try to mitigate the situation with his mother, but it's wearing him down, and I'm worried that one day he'll have to choose. I don't want him to have to do that. It would hurt him too much to have to choose between his family and me. A lot has happened, but I thought I would highlight the worst and most recent events. A few years ago, a month after we bought our house, his mother really needed to replace the windows in hers. It was growing mold and some weren't sealing properly. Now, his mother actually has a considerable savings account that's enough for her to frivolously spend her money on luxury items like Hermes bags, getting her hair done twice a week, getting her nails done, buying a new Mercedes every 2 years, and so on. However, she never budgets for anything, so she asked him for $25,000 to replace the windows. He said he'd cover it. When he told me, I almost had a panic attack. He said it was a loan and she would pay him back. I still have law school debt to pay, and we have a mortgage higher than we should. She made a comment about how I would let her freeze to death all winter and that he had to help her. We took extra out of the mortgage to cover the windows. Frontline everything. We still haven't seen a cent. I guess it went into her new class, quoting Alberto, neither borrower nor lender. Adam and I had planned a vacation a year after the windows. We decided we would go to Europe for 2 weeks since he had never been, and I lived there from the time I was 3 until I came to the United States to study. We got it into our heads to go to Spain and rented a beautiful apartment in Barcelona for 2 weeks. It was perfect for 2. We planned all our visits and outings according to our interests. Adam loves architecture, so we had some tours planned just for that. His mother decided she had to come, and she hadn't been to Europe either, so she invited herself to our trip. Just like I did before, I tried to appeal to her rational side, but I couldn't get through to her emotional side, so I accepted that she would come with us. Well, economy class wasn't enough for her, and she had to upgrade to business class, but she didn't want to travel alone, so she contributed for a seat for Adam to travel with her. I had to stay in economy by myself. Then she didn't want to stay in the apartment because it wasn't a vacation for her. No, she had to stay at the W in Barcelona, where she begged Adam to stay with her, but there was no room for me. He tried reasoning with her, but she cried and said how sad she was without her husband with her, since he passed away before they could go to Europe together. He passed away 10 years ago, so I was left alone in the apartment while they stayed in the hotel. We were supposed to meet for breakfast, but she was never ready in time, so she wouldn't come down until 11 a.m., and we missed most of our outings. I definitely felt like the third wheel and wondered why I bothered going on vacation if I could have stayed at home and not felt so lonely. Adam and I started talking about wedding plans. I would like to keep it relatively low-key because my family still lives in Europe and can't attend because my father is very ill, and we're worried he may get worse. Traveling is just not worth it for him, and I wouldn't want him to risk his health for something that's a one-day event. I told Adam that I only wanted a courthouse ceremony and, of course, his mother, sister, and friends. Then we would take everyone to a very fancy dinner. His mother, no, I repeat, didn't take it well. She said that if her son was getting married, it had to be a big celebration so everyone could see. I keep looking at my side of the seating list and the pathetic number of guests. I just want to cry. She has been planning it. I told Adam I didn't want this. I explicitly told him I only wanted something small. Really, really, really small. No way. She doesn't even listen to him. She just refers to me as she and that one and says I think I'm too good for a big wedding and that my family is too good for the United States. My family is American. My father was an ambassador. This has been happening a lot lately, and this time, it was too much. Recently, she has been asking for more family time together. She lives pretty close, but we don't see her that often because she has friends and events that keep her busy. Not too busy to plan the wedding though. She's asked Adam and me to have dinner with her 3 times a week. Well, what's been happening is that she reserves a table at the restaurant for 6 p.m. Some nights, I don't get home until 6:30 p.m. She has just been encouraging Adam to have dinner with her because I'm too inconsiderate to get home at a decent hour to eat with her son. How lonely it must be for him. Honestly, it doesn't bother me that he goes out to dinner with her so often, but the things she says behind my back. Well, today I came home early. I left work and was on the road by 4:30 p.m. I was home by 5 p.m. I surprised Adam when I was walking in the door just as I opened it to greet him happily. He was so excited to see me. I could go to dinner with him and his mother. I told him I just needed to shower quickly and get dressed. He called his mother immediately and told her I could go. He also made a comment saying that he hoped there was a reservation for 3 tonight. She said yes, but she thought they would eat earlier, like at 5:30 p.m., and that she was already on her way to our house. She arrived at 5:15 p.m. and said she couldn't wait another second and had to eat now. Adam said I would be ready in 15 more minutes and offered to call the restaurant to ask if they could delay. She didn't want to listen, just complained that she was hungry and how a poor old lady shouldn't be asked to wait for her future daughter-in-law to meet her vain requirements. He came upstairs and asked how much longer I needed. I said another 10 minutes. He said his mother was very upset and hungry. If I could skip a step for him so we could leave earlier. I told him to go without me, and I would catch up with them. Well, I got there, and the table was for 2. Of course. Adam said we could make space, but she said we would be disturbing everyone and I should sit at the bar, and she would try to fix it. I had a drink at the bar and then left. I went home, calmed down a little, and now I'm writing this. Wow, that was long. I think I needed to get this out. However, I guess I've resolved everything. Sorry for bothering you. Unfortunately, my relationship with Adam is over. I realize this as I pour my heart out to this sub. Thank you. Update 1. I honestly didn't expect this kind of attention, considering I basically came to the conclusion that seems to be the general consensus among you all, that it's the right one for me. But the support from this sub, the support you've given me, I'm overwhelmed and feel extremely grateful in a way I can express. Between private messages and comments, I cried reading them all. Some shared words of wisdom, others shared different perspectives, and others shared similar experiences. I'm left speechless. Anyway, there's not a big update, but I thought I'd update you on what's happened so far and take the opportunity to say thank you. After I posted a comment on my own thread and had already had 2 glasses of wine, Adam came home. It was very late. He sat next to me and looked defeated. He just stared at me with hopeless eyes. I asked if he wanted to talk. He said he needed time to process everything that happened tonight. I told him I needed time too. He said whatever I decided to do, he would accept. So I called my maid of honor and asked if she could come pick me up, and I would stay at her house that night. Adam and I kissed. He told me he loved me, and I left. No, I haven't come back. From Colin's house, my friend, I called my office the next morning asking for a few more days off to visit my family. So right now, I'm writing from my parents' house in Europe. I called Adam and told him my plans, and he asked if he could drive me. I told him it was fine to go on my own with Colin, and I would email him when I arrived at my family's house. When I settled in, I emailed Adam and sent him the thread I had made that Tuesday night. The vast majority of you wanted him to read it, so he read all of it, all your comments. He also read the part where I came to the conclusion on my own that it had to end. We briefly talked on Skype. He told me he felt raw from reading the thread, but he was glad I had gotten everything out. He asked if I was sure I wanted to end it, or if I still needed time to think about it. I told him I was pretty sure. He asked for a probability. It's a joke in our relationship for decision-making. I told him I was 90% sure this was the end for us and that I was using my time wisely to consider everything. For some reason, his eyes lit up, and he just told me we could talk about it when I returned to the United States. He wasn't going to end things with me over Skype. And I think we have a lot of legal issues to sort out with the house, and we have to recover any deposits available when we cancel wedding stuff because his mom didn't pay for anything in the wedding she planned. Anyway, I had a heart-to-heart conversation with my father. He's been feeling better, which is a huge relief. He offered me 2/3 of the cost of the house, so I could either buy it from Adam and pay most of the mortgage, or I could just leave and buy something else. I wasn't expecting it, but he said he would give me options in case I decided what he thinks I've already decided. He says he just wants me to have freedom and wouldn't want to see my heart and my bank account broken at the same time. So that's that. As I said, nothing really happened between Adam and me, but now I have more power, thanks to my parents, and I've been enjoying my time with my family. My mom and I have been shopping a lot, and my brother, my dad's doctor, and his family have come over for dinner quite often. My sister is expected to come back from China tomorrow, and I'm really excited to see her. I wish I could give you all an update with a conclusion one way or another. Edit 1. He hasn't said anything about the comments, just that he read them all, that he felt raw and that he had a lot to think about. I don't know if he wants to fight for me at this point. I'd like to think he does, but I don't want to have expectations that are never met and lead me to a disappointing ending. I think I want to spend this Christmas focusing on my family because we're worried it might be my dad's last one. Edit 2. He likes big displays of affection. The proposal was an over-the-top surprise. Asking me to move in with him was a big event. He doesn't do things small. I bet if he were to make changes for me, and honestly, I doubt it at this point, it would be a very big and shocking change, and it would be a surprise the day I came home. Update 2. First, I'd like to apologize for how long this update took. I've been completely swamped with work, and things have also been happening at home. So here we go. I want to thank all of you again for your continued support and interest in my relationship issues. Honestly, the advice and shared experiences have made everything so much clearer. Also, Adam has been following everything. First, specifically, I want to thank everyone who defended and supported Adam. I don't see him as a bad guy, and I really don't see myself as a vengeful person. So passive-aggressive comments telling me to leave or making rude remarks or anything with bad intentions wouldn't come from me. He emotionally supported me throughout my MBA. He helped me study for the law school entrance exam. He reviewed my essays for law school applications. He did mock interviews with me and endured boring guidance sessions with me. He stayed up all night with me when I was nervously ill before taking the bar exam. He was my cheerleader when I ran my first triathlon, and he's my champion when I see a centipede at home. He's the man of my dreams, and I would never give up my relationship with him if I didn't feel like I was fighting a losing battle. Now you're in for a real shock. Someone commented in the update that he'd be out of my parents' house if I really wanted it to work. He took their advice seriously and was outside with his bags and a rented car the afternoon of the 24th. I was stunned and said, "What are you doing here?" He laughed and said he wanted to talk it all through and couldn't wait for me to come back. He had been reading all the comments from the threads and felt they were very revealing. He joined the narcissistic parents thread and felt deeply moved by the similarity between some people and their parents. He said he spent the last few days thinking about what happened in the restaurant with his mom and how the look in my eyes when I realized what had happened broke his heart. What I didn't know was that he and his mom argued after I went to sit at the bar, fighting for me, about how he didn't feel free, about how his sister used to say he had the same issues, but since she moved away, she's calmed down a lot. Many people asked me why I put up with this for so long. I tried to remember when it really started, when her comments stopped seeming like normal mother-in-law comments, like I don't want to lose my son, and started feeling like real isolation and aggression. We used to have a more or less decent relationship when I first met her. Sometimes we'd go shopping together, and once we even did our nails. It was when Adam and I bought the house together that things really started to go downhill. The windows were the first big problem I remember, when she realized we were serious. So, going back to when we were at my parents' house, we had a serious heart-to-heart conversation. I told him everything, and he did the same. So, there wasn't any extreme confession of incest or physical abuse. It was just that he believes he was raised by a narcissist who saw her control over her son, her pride, and her joy slipping away. We came to a decision. This was what we decided on December 27th. He went back to the US after New Year's, a few days before I did, and moved his things from our place to a friend's house. He didn't want me to be inconvenienced by the changes he was making, in capital letters. What to do? We've put our engagement on hold for now. He canceled all the plans his mother had made. He's been seeing a therapist fairly consistently since mid-January, 2 to 3 times a week. I've been to 4 sessions with him. His mom has not. Somehow, we've started dating again, in quotes, with each other. I've been talking to his sister, and from the things his mother did to her, Adam was extremely lucky. Now, about his mother, he's decided to give her one last chance to go to therapy with him, and he's said that if she doesn't, he'll cut contact with her. We have a lot to rebuild, but I know we can do it together. Edit. We've talked a lot about that trip in therapy. His therapist explained to me that it's similar to when someone is stuck in an abusive relationship and keeps making excuses for the abuser so many times that they eventually start believing their own rationalizations. He felt a lot of guilt for his father's death. Adam donated a kidney, and his father's body rejected the donation. He feels like it's his fault his mother is alone, and I think she took full advantage of that. That probably should have been my moment of clarity, but it wasn't. Recently, we decided together to leave it in the past and move forward. I know he wants to talk more with his psychologist about how to deal with his mother, who has been simply incredible, the psychologist, not the mother. And every time Adam talks about him, he gets so excited and wants to discuss rules or explore the option of cutting contact further. His therapist has suggested that he try it once and set very strict boundaries, as they've recommended. As for my mother-in-law, right now, she's on a month-long cruise, so he has to wait. However, Adam ignored all her calls while he was in Europe with me. When he came back, she made him feel guilty. Oh, my poor heart, making me worry like that, running after her like a puppy whimpering things to take away his masculinity and make him feel less than he is. Then she tried an overdose, in quotes, with painkillers, called an ambulance before taking any, and they arrived before she even managed to swallow 3 pills, with a very quick response. So they kept her under observation for 72 hours. Adam just sent flowers. He didn't really want to see her, but she decided a cruise and a little vacation would be best for her, to get away, in quotes, a little bit. As you can see, she's a huge narcissist and manipulator. Now I realize he's going to have to make a decision for his own mental health. Being in the middle is not healthy, and we've talked a lot about the narcissism and guilt trips his mom used with him. He said things have to change for his own good. In therapy, things have come up that I wasn't aware of, like his guilt over his father's death and some other issues. Now I know it's a decision he needs to make, and I want to support him. Update 3, it's been a long time, folks from the sub. We all have another year, unfortunately. Haha. Adam and I are going to write this thread together. Oops. I already gave the ending. Yes, we're together. In fact, we're married. Here we go. The last time we left off, Adam was seeing a psychologist. He still is, trying to untangle some of the damage his mother did to him. We were living separately at the time. Adam's mother tried to commit suicide, but not really. She called emergency services before doing anything and didn't even have time to swallow the necessary pills. It's scary to think that in her mind, there was such an abusive past when she's always had such a happy exterior. My husband, how funny it is to say that, was basically traumatized by his own mother his whole life, just like his sister. I hinted at this earlier in another thread, that Adam's sister had it much worse than Adam when they were little, but when Adam's father died, his mother turned her attention to him. So, Adam's father died from kidney failure. However, Adam had donated one of his kidneys to try to save him. His father's body rejected the donation and passed away about 11 years ago this coming April. His mother took it as a mission during her mourning to manipulate him into believing that he killed his own father and that she was now alone because of him. If he wanted to make up for what he did, he would treat her better. Every time he thought he could escape and create his own life and feel free, she reminded him of it. The Windows situation, for example, I only heard the part where she blamed me, but I tried to think back to that conversation and really listen to what Adam had said. It's been about 4 years, but at that time, he was telling me that the reason her house was falling apart was because she didn't have a man to take care of it because he killed his dad. He was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't understand what it meant. Same with the Barcelona vacation, she was doing it in front of me. Now, when he was younger, many of these problems had to do with academic or athletic success. She didn't have issues with girlfriends or anything like that back then, she just saw her children as extensions of herself. It was bad, but it wasn't at this level of guilt-inducing craziness. Let's go back to the present. Adam's therapist suggested that Adam offer his mother the opportunity to go to therapy to work on her issues. He couldn't propose it at the time because, after her suicide attempt, she ran off to a cruise for some much-needed rest and relaxation, or whatever. Oh my god. One would think he was asking her to kill puppies by how she reacted. So that's it. No contact. She's tried, but Adam has ignored calls from unknown numbers. We've changed the locks, and at his work, there are strict instructions to not let her through the doors. She moved to where Adam's sister lives in July, but I know that his sister, who we're close with, hasn't had contact with her since she met her husband. We've written off the $5,000, or we'll recover it in probate court, inheritance, or never. It really doesn't affect me that much. Not enough to do extra work to recover it now, especially because Adam fears she'll use it as leverage to worm her way back into our lives. We ended up getting married in September. We flew to be with my parents this week to renew our vows at their house, and we're going to have our honeymoon in Fiji in January. My dad's not doing too well, but he always seems to fluctuate like that. However, my brother is not optimistic this time, unfortunately. Anyway, we were wondering, since you've all been so supportive, if you'd do us a little favor. Adam and I are going to have a memorial ceremony for his father so he can properly process it without manipulation. For any of you who've lost your parents, what helped you get through it? Thank you for everything. I wish we could have invited each of you to our wedding, but that would have been weird. Edit, I can't sleep. I'm still on US time. My wife can sleep even through a damn earthquake. You guys gave me a brilliant idea. I'm going to buy a star. I don't know why I never thought of it before. He was an astrophysicist. I'm going to contact some of his old colleagues and see if there's a way to make this bigger than just going to a website and buying the right to name a star. I want to see if there's something more, like having the name of a star be my dad's. I know naming a star is a scam to get money, but that comment made me think about it, and the gears started turning in my head. I'm going to contact someone who knew my dad and see if there's something more. Maybe make a donation to a space project and have his name engraved somewhere. Sorry, I should have put that in quotes. They sell naming rights. I haven't slept since we got here. As for my mother, it feels a bit surreal. In a way, to me, she's dead, but she's not actually dead. The therapist called it a phantom loss. I never thought of grieving our relationship. Honestly, I feel a bit like Bambi wobbling on the ice. Sometimes it feels like I'm seeing the world for the first time. I'm going to try the candle ritual and see if I can find something nice to say about her. It's already past 4 a.m. here. I can't sleep at all. I really needed to read those things about me. I know the commenters were really insistent because my wife was so sure she was going to leave me, so they could really attack me well, which I appreciate. When I read them after having another fight with my mom about how she treated my wife, it was just the kick in the ass I needed. Seeing my life through the eyes of others was like looking at a photo instead of looking in the mirror. But there were also incredibly supportive people who were really happy for my wife and me, for the changes I made, for the courage it took. Without this sub, she and I wouldn't be together, and I don't think I could have handled it. Update 4, I thought I'd give you an update myself, Adam, since my wife doesn't have much to share, and the main issue was my toxic relationship with my mother. Anyway, she sends her regards and will tell you something at the end, but she left me her account to write to you about what's been going on in the meantime, mostly in relation to my mother. My relationship with my mother is non-existent. We haven't had direct contact in these last 3 years. I haven't spoken to her since she refused to go to therapy, something that would have helped her a lot to work on her untreated narcissism, but it's very difficult for someone like that to realize they need help. She even seemed offended despite her fake suicide attempt. For those who asked about that, she was only under observation, and then they let her go. It was a cry for attention, not a real attempt, to the point where the authorities didn't need to get seriously involved in her health. I'd like to say she was worried about losing contact with me, but from her point of view, suggesting she seek help was too much. According to her, it was my wife who needed help, not her. The good thing is that, in these last 3 years, she hasn't contacted us. We cut it off too, but we expected her to try something strange. Since she didn't, it's made things a lot easier for all of us. My work with the psychologist has also forced me to relive some pretty dark moments with my mom. Nothing serious like physical abuse, but manipulation and other things that my wife has already told you about earlier. Details I could talk about for hours, but they're not worth it for any of us. Regarding commemorating my father, what I did was finally donate to a new astronomy-related cause and place a plaque with his name. I think it's the way he would have liked to be remembered, not just as my mother's husband. That's all from my side. Now my wife wants to say a few things. My father passed away more than 2 years ago. I've mentioned him a lot in my posts, so I wanted to tell you. You've been a part of my life during a very difficult time, but now I feel like I have the strength to share this sad part. Since I didn't have much to say, I preferred to leave the first part to my husband to talk about the main problem, my mother-in-law, and then make this mention. But don't feel sad for me. This time has served me to grieve. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, but now with a wonderful husband and my mother flying over often to visit me, I don't feel alone. Yes, also my brother and my sister-in-law. If I had ended things with Adam the way I thought in my first post, it would have been much harder for me to get over it. He has been truly magnificent throughout the process, traveling with me to the funeral and being there for me at all times. Sometimes I think he does it out of guilt for what we went through, but I also know him, and I know he's done gestures like this before.